If you receive Social Security or you are getting close to retirement, there is one number you need to start watching very closely. And that number is the 2027 Social Security Cost of Living Adjustment, also known as COLA. Right now, we are still several weeks away from the official announcement, but new inflation data is already giving analysts a better idea of what next year's increase could look like. And some current estimates are pointing toward a COLA in the low to mid 3% range. That may sound like good news, but here's the part many retirees are missing. A higher Social Security check does not automatically mean more money in your pocket. Medicare premiums, taxes, inflation, housing costs, food prices, insurance, and other expenses can all change the amount of purchasing power you actually have. So in today's video, we're going to break this down from the perspective of a real retiree. What could the 2027 COLA look like? Why are estimates moving higher? When will the official number be announced? How much could your monthly Social Security check increase? And most importantly, what should you be doing right now instead of simply waiting for the announcement? Let's get into it. First, let's talk about the number everybody is watching. The 2027 Social Security COLA is not official yet. That is extremely important. You may see headlines online saying Social Security is getting a specific increase next year. Be careful. The official number is determined using inflation data from the third quarter, specifically the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, commonly called CPIW. The final calculation depends on inflation readings from July, August, and September. The Social Security Administration then uses that information to determine the official COLA. That means estimates can change before the final announcement. But right now, some projections are putting the possible 2027 increase around 3.2% to 3.6%. One recent estimate put the potential increase around 3.2%. While another projection suggested something closer to 3.5%. So don't think of 3.2%, 3.5%, or 3.6% as guaranteed. Think of these numbers as a warning to start planning, because even a 3% plus increase can make a noticeable difference over an entire year. Let's use a simple example. Suppose your Social Security benefit is $2,000 per month. A 3.2% increase would add about $64 per month. That would bring the benefit to approximately $2,064. At 3.5%, the increase would be about $70 per month, bringing the benefit to around $2,070. And at 3.6%, the increase would be approximately $72 per month. Now multiply that across 12 months. You're looking at hundreds of dollars more over a year. But there's another side to this story. And this is where retirees need to pay attention. Your Social Security COLA is not the same thing as your personal inflation rate. Think about the things you actually pay for: groceries, property taxes, rent, homeowners insurance, car insurance, utilities, prescription medications, doctor visits, dental care, and especially health care. Your personal expenses may rise faster than the official inflation measurement used to calculate Social Security's COLA. That's why a 3% increase can look great on paper, but feel much smaller in real life. Now let's talk about something else that could affect the money you actually keep: Medicare. For many retirees, Medicare premiums are deducted directly from their Social Security payments. So if Social Security increases, but Medicare costs also rise, the net increase in your actual deposit could be smaller than you expected. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make when they hear a COLA announcement. They hear the percentage, they calculate the new check, and they assume that's what will hit their bank account. But your personal situation can be more complicated. Medicare premiums can change, taxes can affect your income, and if your income is high enough, certain Medicare-related surcharges can become an important consideration. So when the official 2027 COLA is announced, don't just ask, "How much is my Social Security increasing?" Ask, "How much more will actually reach my bank account?" That is the number that matters. Now let's talk about why this story is getting attention right now. Inflation has not completely disappeared. Even though inflation has moderated compared with some of the extreme increases Americans experienced in previous years, retirees are still dealing with elevated costs in important categories. And when you're living on a fixed income, small changes can become significant. Imagine you're spending $400 more every month than you were several years ago. A $60 or $70 increase in Social Security doesn't suddenly solve that problem. That's why retirees shouldn't build their entire financial plan around COLA increases. COLA is designed to help Social Security benefits keep up with inflation. It is not designed to make retirees wealthier. And that distinction is extremely important. Now, here's something else you need to understand. Social Security itself is facing a long-term financing problem. The 2026 Social Security and Medicare Trustees reports continue to show significant financing challenges. According to the Social Security Administration's summary of the 2026 Trustees Report, the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund is projected to be able to pay scheduled benefits in full until the fourth quarter of 2032. After that, under the current projection, continuing program income would be enough to pay about 78% of scheduled benefits if Congress made no changes. Now, please don't misunderstand that. This does not mean your Social Security check is suddenly going to be cut in 2032. It means the system's projected financing gap is a serious long-term issue that lawmakers will have to address. And this is another reason retirees should avoid making financial decisions based entirely on headlines. There is a difference between a current benefit increase and a long-term policy problem. Right now, if you're already receiving Social Security, your focus should be on managing the income you actually receive. So what should you do? Number 1, don't change your retirement plan based on an unofficial COLA estimate. If you're seeing a headline saying, Social Security will increase by exactly X%, remember that the final number has not been announced yet. Wait for the official figure. Number 2, calculate your own personal inflation rate. This is something almost nobody does. Take your last 12 months of expenses. Look at groceries, housing, healthcare, insurance, transportation, utilities, subscriptions, everything. Then compare those expenses with what you expect your Social Security income to be next year. You may discover that your biggest financial problem isn't your Social Security check. It may be one or two large expenses. For example, maybe your insurance increased substantially. Maybe your property taxes went up. Maybe your rent is rising. Maybe your prescription expenses are higher. If you identify the biggest increase, you can focus your attention there instead of simply waiting for COLA. Number 3, review your Medicare costs. When the new Medicare information becomes available, don't ignore it. Look carefully at premiums, deductibles, and your overall healthcare budget. A higher Social Security payment doesn't help much if your healthcare expenses are rising even faster. Number 4, review your taxes. This is especially important if you have income from multiple sources. Social Security might be only one part of your retirement income. You could also have withdrawals from a traditional IRA, a 401k, pension income, interest, dividends, or other taxable income. The interaction between these sources can affect your tax situation, so don't look at Social Security in isolation. Look at your entire retirement income picture. Number 5, don't automatically spend the COLA. This might be one of the most powerful things you can do. If your Social Security check increases by $60 or $70 per month, you don't necessarily have to increase your spending by $60 or $70. If your budget allows it, consider directing some of that increase toward an emergency fund, paying down high-interest debt, covering expected medical expenses, or simply building additional financial flexibility. A small amount saved every month can become meaningful over time. And if you're already financially comfortable, protecting that extra money from lifestyle inflation can be even more valuable. Now let's talk about people who haven't claimed Social Security yet. This is where things become even more important. If you're approaching retirement, don't make your claiming decisions simply because you're hearing about a potential COLA. The COLA applies to Social Security benefits, but the timing of when you claim can have a much larger impact on your lifetime income than a single year's COLA. For some people, claiming earlier may make sense. For others, waiting longer can produce a larger monthly benefit. Your health, life expectancy, marital status, other income, savings, and financial needs all matter. There is no universal age that is automatically correct for everyone. So if you're approaching 62, 67, or 70, don't simply follow what somebody on social media tells you. Run the numbers based on your situation. Now let's look at the bigger picture. The reason this 2027 COLA story matters isn't simply because retirees might get an extra few dollars every month. It matters because inflation is changing the retirement equation. For decades, many Americans imagined retirement as a simple formula: work, save, retire, collect Social Security, and live comfortably. But modern retirement is more complicated. People are living longer, healthcare costs can be unpredictable, insurance can be expensive, housing costs vary dramatically, and retirees have to make decisions about when to claim Social Security, how much to withdraw from investments, and how much cash to keep available. That means your retirement plan needs to be flexible. And one of the worst mistakes you can make is assuming that Social Security COLA will always solve an income problem. It won't. A COLA is a helpful adjustment. It's not a complete retirement strategy. So here's a simple exercise I want you to do. Take your current monthly Social Security benefit. Multiply it by the percentage you're using as your planning estimate. For example, if you're using 3.5%, multiply your current benefit by 1.035. If you're receiving $1,500, that's approximately $1,552.50. If you're receiving $2,000, that's approximately $2,070. If you're receiving $2,500, that's approximately $2,587.50. And if you're receiving $3,000, that's approximately $3,105. Again, these are examples using a hypothetical 3.5% increase. They are not predictions of your actual 2027 benefit. Your official increase will depend on the final COLA calculation, but doing this exercise gives you a starting point. Then, subtract the expenses you expect to increase. Maybe your Medicare costs, maybe insurance, maybe property taxes, maybe rent, maybe food. Now you'll have a much more realistic picture. Instead of saying, "Great, Social Security is going up," you can say, "My income may increase by this much, while my expenses may increase by this much." That's real retirement planning. And here's another important point. Don't panic about every Social Security headline you see online. Every year, you'll see headlines saying, "Social Security is changing forever. Your checks are disappearing. A massive increase is coming. A massive cut is coming. A special payment is coming," or "Everyone is getting a certain amount." Many of these headlines are designed to get clicks. That's why you should always separate three things: what is official, what is projected, and what is simply a rumor. Right now, the 2027 COLA is a projection. The final number is not official yet. And that's exactly how you should treat it. But the good news is that you don't have to wait for October to start preparing. You can prepare now. Review your budget. Review your Social Security benefit. Review your Medicare expenses. Review your taxes. Review your emergency savings. And if you're still working, review your retirement timeline. These decisions can have a much bigger impact on your financial future than arguing about whether the COLA ends up being 3.2%, 3.5%, or something different. And there's one more group that needs to pay special attention: married couples. If both spouses receive Social Security, a COLA increase applies to both benefits, but the impact on the household budget depends on the size of each benefit and the couple's other income. Survivor benefits can also become extremely important when one spouse dies. So retirement planning isn't just about asking, "How much do I receive?" It's also about asking, "What happens to my household income if one of us is no longer here?" That's a conversation many families avoid, but it can be one of the most important financial conversations you ever have. Now, let's bring this all together. The 2027 Social Security COLA could be higher than the 2026 increase. Current estimates are generally pointing toward the low to mid 3% range, but the final number is not official yet. The official calculation will depend on the inflation data used for the COLA formula, and the announcement is expected later this year. So don't build your entire financial plan around a headline. Build it around your actual numbers, your actual expenses, your actual Social Security benefit, your actual healthcare costs, your actual savings, and your actual retirement goals. Because here's the truth. A COLA increase can help, but financial security in retirement comes from having a plan that doesn't depend on one number. If your Social Security goes up, that's helpful. If inflation comes down, that's helpful. If your investments perform well, that's helpful. But you want your retirement plan to remain stable, even when one of those things doesn't go exactly the way you expected. That's the goal, not simply getting a bigger check. The goal is being able to pay your bills, handle unexpected expenses, and maintain your quality of life without constantly worrying about the next headline. So, if you're receiving Social Security right now, start watching the 2027 COLA discussion closely. And if you're planning to retire within the next few years, this is an excellent time to review your entire retirement income strategy. Because the number announced later this year will tell you how much your benefit is scheduled to increase. But your personal financial plan will determine what that increase actually means for your life. And remember one final thing. Don't confuse an estimate with an announcement. Don't confuse a bigger check with greater purchasing power. And don't confuse Social Security with a complete retirement plan. Stay informed, check official information, run your own numbers, and make financial decisions based on your situation, not on a viral headline. If you found this information useful, make sure you subscribe because we'll continue tracking Social Security, Medicare, retirement taxes, inflation, and other financial changes that could affect American retirees. And when the official 2027 COLA number is announced, we'll break down exactly what it means for your monthly check and your retirement budget. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. https://www.wsj.com/livecoverage/stock-market-c-pi-08-12-20-social-security checks expected 2 rise buy more than 3 next year NN4 K3ZX Q31HF5Y CQSPIF UTM_source equals chatgpt.com. Social Security checks expected to rise by more than 3% next year. https://www.aarp.org/videos/social-security/6388093490112/?msocket equals 1E888 A6982 AC62 141 BA39 D6883 B663 B5 ampersand UTM_source equals chatgpt.com. Social Security changes in 2026. What retirees need to know.